Warning, this content might not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Judge Joe Dredd graduated from the class of '79, one of the best judges in his universe. And today I have him entering a new universe with a new mission. Today we answer the question, could Judge Dredd end crime in Gotham? So, without further ado, let's start the video. Alright, so first up we have to set up the scenario. For this video, Batman will not be in Gotham or any of the Bat family. Instead, it will only be Judge Dredd with his base equipment, that being his Lawbringer, Lawgiver, Daystick, and many more guns and other weapons of mass destruction that he normally carries on him, or that his bike can hold. Also, Judge Dredd has been given full legal jurisdiction by the United States government, making him the law, like he has been in his own series. As for backup, he won't have any, nor will he have access to his command center, spy drones, or the eye in the sky, but he will have a place to rest. He will still have the pods that he normally does to recover and get some sleep when he can. So, if he's going to track down these criminals, well, he's going to be doing it the old-fashioned way. Luckily for us, we have an idea on how Dredd will do thanks to the Batman Judge Dredd crossover comic, and everywhere that I've looked says that it's canon to the Judge Dredd universe, so let's see how well Dredd can really do. When it comes to the everyday criminals in Gotham, I feel like Dredd can definitely make a huge dent in that, especially once he makes a name for himself. Plus, with Dredd, there's no technicalities for these criminals to try to use or exploit. There is no corruption that they can kind of bribe to get out of this. Since Dredd himself is the judge, the jury, and oftentimes the executioner, there's no real way for these criminals to escape from Dredd either, since his bike has been stated in the Year 1 book to get to over 500 kilometers per hour, which I had to convert into miles per hour as I'm a Texan, so, kilometers doesn't really register with me, which equals to over 300 miles per hour. There's not really any vehicle that these common criminals could get that's outrunning Dredd. But on the off chance that they can, his weapons on his bike are capable of wrecking the Batmobile at a minimum, which Dredd himself states that if he wanted it, his weapons would have destroyed the Batmobile completely. As for him dealing with these criminals himself in terms of being a hand-to-hand combatant, he's been shown to be equal to Batman. However, this has to be stated that neither one of these guys were using their weapons, and Dredd still got the upper hand on Batman here. So if they were using their weapons, in my opinion, Dredd's weapons are better than Batman's, so take that how you will. So all in all, these common criminals would definitely think twice about crossing Dredd or even being a criminal at all, especially if he sends them to the ISO cubes. As with Blackgate, it's incredibly easy for them to break out all the time, with corrupt guards, wardens, and overall just weak security. Unlike the ISO cubes, which are designed for complete and total isolation until your sentence has been served. But yes, they have had escapees, but not without great difficulty, and it would be like on a whole nother universal level for these common criminals to break out of the ISO cubes than it would be for Blackgate. That takes us to the lesser villains of Batman's Rogues Gallery, like Professor Pig, Condiment King, Kite Man, Clock King, Clue Master, and so on and so forth. However, these villains are in extreme danger of being freaking killed by Dredd, with the best case scenario being life in an ISO cube without the possibility of parole. With Dredd's technology and his expert combat ability, he's more than a match for them. Plus, his intelligence is almost rivaling Batman's. However, how much can Dredd actually do before he's overwhelmed, tired? Surprisingly, a lot. He patrols one sector of Megablock City, but it's been stated by Judge Anderson, who absolutely would know, that one sector is equal to all of Gotham. That means that Dredd would actually be right at home here, Plus, it's not his first time in Gotham. He carries first aid packs that can keep him in fights, even after taking shots from armor-piercing rounds. In regards to him needing sleep, judges have access to chairs that give them a full night's rest in about 15 minutes. So, giving that to Dredd, which, yes, we're giving that to him, it makes him so much more efficient than Batman can ever be. Along with Dredd being a full-time judge, he would need to balance a secret identity that the criminals in Gotham take advantage of. With all the low-tier villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery, 90% if not more would be killed, as attempted murder of a judge is an immediate death sentence. And let's just get it out of the way. Professor Pig, that sick fuck, is definitely getting a bullet to his head, and I hope that Dredd just gives him a high X round blowing his head off. But hey, speaking of death sentences, the main heavy hitters of Batman's villains are all on death row now that Dredd is here. No more Arkham Asylum. It's either beat Dredd or die. So villains like Two-Face, Raish, the Court of Owls, Hush, Penguin, Black Mask, and Harley are all being taken out rather easily. If Dredd hits them with a high X round that can blow up a Xenomorph Queen and an entire building, they're not standing much of a chance. Plus, none of the villains mentioned above hold a candle to the dark judges of the Judge Dredd universe, with one of them being able to decay a person down to their skeleton, the others being around that ballpark, but Judge Death is the strongest in my opinion, being able to kill you with a touch. It phase his hand into your body and do so many just nightmare ghoulish things to you that you'd really just welcome the death that comes to it. So compared to that, Dredd's kind of coasting here, as when it comes to Raish, it's very possible they don't fight, but if they do, then you know, Dredd kind of just blows his head off. Due to Dredd being about as subtle as the Kool-Aid Man, however, that can work to his advantage or lead to his detriment at times. But he likes to make up with that by shooting off armor-piercing rounds like they're being fired from an SMG. So most ninjas aren't getting close to him, and as for Raish himself, it'd be an amazing fight to watch, but like I said, Dredd's not an idiot. If a man's coming at him with a sword, he's gonna shoot him. And Dredd has killed some of the best warriors in multiple dimensions, kind of including beating Batman in a fight, but like I said, that's kind of contentious. I'd consider it a tie. But anyways, this would still lead to Raish and Dredd having an amazing fight. I just see Dredd winning that fight, and it might be close, but I'm still giving it to Dredd, if they even fight at all, since the video says Gotham and Raish isn't always in. As for the Court of Owls, yeah, they're pretty much fucked. When Dredd shows up and goes full Red Wedding on them with full auto incendiary rounds, even the Talons are gonna feel that, and you can't bring back Ashes. Now it's time for the heavy hitters, like Clayface, Grundy, Freeze, Bane, Scarecrow, Riddler, and the Joker. And then we have the real heavy hitters, characters like Poison Ivy. So now that Dredd has kind of faced the Riddler and Joker before, he would really have a lot more information. However, the versions he faced of them had a massive power boost, with the Riddler being able to summon people from other dimensions, and Joker having the power of a dark judge. That blew people's heads up just from his laughter alone, yet Dredd was able to resist that and blew holes in Joker's body enough to you'd mistake him for Swiss cheese. So let's see how he does against Bane for starters, and this one is incredibly simple because Dredd is intelligent and isn't stupid. He doesn't try to fight people in hand-to-hand if he can help it. So honestly, he's probably just shooting Bane's knees out before then executing him with a well-placed shot to the head. For Mr. Freeze, I can see Dredd shooting incendiary, armor-piercing, or high X rounds at him. And honestly, it'd probably take only one or two well-placed armor-piercing rounds to end Freeze. And that's just being kind of generous because it's really only going to take about one high X round for Freeze to really go down if Dredd gets the drop on him. If not, it's going to be a great fight. But Dredd's, equipment, he has a rifle that can cut through anything. It's a energy rifle, and if it overheats, Dredd can just throw it at Freeze and it would blow him up. So yeah, Free's really not surviving this anyway. But for Joker, it's literally the easiest thing ever, as it's just a single bullet. However, if Joker takes a hostage, that's not working on Dredd. It really does not work. Because if the hostage has to die for him to get you, then so be it. You just die after the fact. So nothing will stop Dredd from getting the perp, especially ones he's familiar with and would bring everything to counter them specifically. So yeah, Joker's history. The Riddler is more of the same, and like I've said, Dredd is intelligent. So much so that he's only being able to see the device that summoned him once, he immediately deduced what it is and what it does, following the same exact line of thinking as Batman himself. So finding Riddler, while at first might prove challenging, Dredd would eventually catch on and find him, leading to Riddler's execution. If only he'd get rid of Arkham Riddler for us, I would happily give him a medal. Now, things really do get complicated with Clayface, as I know Dredd can hurt Clayface, but I don't know if he can kill him, which might be a situation with that beam rifle that if he just forces it to overheat and throws it into Clayface, that might kill him. But there's a simpler solution to this problem, that being the capture device, that in theory would be able to seal Clayface away, since it was able to seal away the Dark Judges, but they were more in like a spiritual form, so I don't know. Comment down below, do you think Clayface gets, sealed up in that capture device? Or do you think that it's just kind of like up in the air here? But that's where I'm going to leave it with that one. Moving on. As for Grundy, I see Dredd blowing his head off, which I've never seen anything of Grundy regrowing a brand new head before, so let me know if he has or not in the comics. Ending this list is kind of like Poison Ivy and Scarecrow, who's probably the two hardest fights for Dredd, but let's go ahead and cover Ivy first. Because she has one big weakness, and that's being able to feel the pain that's inflicted to her plants. And once Dredd figures that out, it is her undoing, as Dredd would 1000% burn the plants if it gives him an advantage in this fight. With everything said and done, this could be a really tough fight for Dredd, but he has more than enough weapons to take Ivy out. Really being able to just cycle through his different ammo types on the fly gives him so much levels of lethality and unpredictableness that would just have him come out on top against Ivy, where I'm pretty sure he would just kind of burn her to death. Now, as for Scarecrow, Dredd regularly just has a respirator on him. So that fear toxin, if Scarecrow doesn't get him with a sneaky little bit of it, it's not really going to be a good day for him, because as soon as Dredd puts on that respirator, you're not getting that through. Bye, Crane. It's a bullet to the head for you. But yeah, that's pretty much how the villains fare, but now we have to talk about the real problem in Gotham. Finally, we have to talk about the real criminals of Gotham, and that's the corrupt cops, judges, lawyers, district attorneys, wardens, politicians, etc. And luckily for us, we know that Dredd can track and get leads on corrupt and highly secretive people from the year 1, or I think it was it's either year 1 or year 3 books. But yeah, no, Dredd can 100% find out who's corrupt, who's not, and Dredd is uncorruptible. He killed his own brother because he was corrupt. Keep in mind, it was in self-defense, but Dredd can really just take care of them all right then and there, ending it and forcing a real change for Gotham. So in conclusion, I'd give Dredd a 90% success rate at ending crime in Gotham, with his methods being the main difference between why Dredd would have a better chance of success than Batman ever would. So while Bruce really wouldn't approve, it wouldn't matter what he thinks, because Dredd's results would speak for themselves. And that's the main issue with, I think, Batman's approach, is that Batman's a vigilante. He works within the law. Dredd is the law. So that would allow for him to take liberties and for it to all be completely legal at the end of the day, for him to be able to make sure that crime in Gotham is a thing of the past. Unless Deathstroke shows up, but that's a different type of conversation, because if Deathstroke has this killer swords, Dredd's not doing anything. But if it's just base Deathstroke, then yeah, well, Dredd's outclassed hand to hand. Slade's outclassed weapon-wise. That'd be one heck of a fight. But anyways, that's all I have for this video, and I thank you guys again for being patient with me. As, like I said, my work schedule has been really crazy. For the past 3 months, I've been on 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and that 1 day a week that I've been getting off has just been like me trying to spend time with my wife and get ready for the next work week. But things have started slowing down now, so I've been able to have a full weekend off and get this video out. And I've also been working on other videos, so that's where I let you guys vote. Which video do you guys want next week? Do you want what if the Reverse Flash was in The Boys? What if Superior Spider-Man was in The Boys? Or what if the Hulk was in The Boys? Comment down below and I'll make it happen. But anyways, I want you guys to remember that God is awesome, you guys are too, and I hope you have a very blessed